What's up, fight fans? And we're back at it with another edition of Round One Sports Talk. Let's talk boxing. Let's talk about what's going on in the news in the world of boxing. And if you are new to the channel, please like, subscribe, and like always, let's get right into the video. Well, a lot of interesting things have been going on in the sport of boxing. Some people are getting shots at legendary status, like Jamel Charlo. Naoya Inoue recently became the WBC and WBO 122-pound champion of the world by defeating Stephen Kubo Fulton. And Usyk just won a very controversial over Duval. You know, a lot of people are saying that it was in fact a knockout, and some people were saying that it was a low blow. But if you ask me, a low blow consists of being punched in the balls. That's what a low blow is. You know, hitting below the belt line, you know, when your trunks are over your belly button, you know, in most cases, that's an illegal punch right there. You know, I got to admit, you know, I didn't see where that, because some of the portion of his glove did touch his skin with the punch. I mean, that's where it was on the borderline. You know, and one thing that I noticed that was apparent, Usyk didn't grab his balls. Every man that gets hit with a low blow, you grab your crotch after you get hit with a low blow. He didn't do that. He just sat there like this. It was a body shot that hurt him. It wasn't, he did, you know, that's what I'm saying. When they deduct a point, or the referee gives you a warning for a low blow, is because you hit an opponent in the balls. That's all I'm saying. And it didn't look like he hit him in the balls, man. Unless his balls are in his stomach. You know what I mean? Listen. So, that's all I have to say about that. Now, it's real interesting of what also has been going on with Naoya Inoue. And a lot of people have been wondering his trajectory and his next moves. In particular, a lot of boxers and legendary boxers such as Floyd Mayweather. Now, I've touched on this and I talked about it, but I really want to, you know, talk a little bit more about it. Because if you notice in my last video, I mentioned a couple of fighters that Mayweather is backing, this young fighter named Camille Moten. Now, Camille Moten is in an interesting position too, because he will be coming and starting his first fight at 126 pounds. Whether or not Lee Wood takes the fight, that's where he's starting his career. Now, that's one of Mayweather's fighters. And if you haven't noticed, Naoya Inoue is at 122. So, he has a guy in front of him that potentially in the future could stop him. And the reason why I say this, and I said that Terence Crawford wasn't going to be able to catch Mayweather, the reason why I don't believe Terence Crawford is going to catch Mayweather, here are the three major reasons. Number one, he's going to turn 36 years old soon, right? Okay, his age, 36 years old. On average, a boxer fights 3 times a year. His record is 40-31. He needs 10 fights to catch Mayweather. If you fight 3 times a year, if that, Crawford hasn't fought 3 times a year since God knows when. Okay? He fought twice in 2023. Okay, so he fought twice, and then he fought once the previous year, I believe it was. I got to check that out. But I know he's not fighting 3 times a year. And even if he was to fight 3 times a year, which I don't see him doing, the most fights I think at this point in Crawford's career, he would fight twice a year. If that. Maybe once a year. Okay, from here on in. I don't see Crawford catching him with 10 more fights. No. And then as far as divisions go, Crawford only has 3 divisions. He would need 5 divisions just to catch Mayweather, right? And he would need 6 to pass him. So that's why I don't see him passing him. He's not going to get him in belts. He's not going to pass him. And, the only thing he can do is retire. Like, I see him retiring 46 and 0. I think he'll probably get 6 more fights, 6 or 5 more fights to come in. And if he stays undefeated on top of that, because we know that a lot of fighters retire and they come back and later get beaten at a much older age. It happens to all the greats and the legends. Floyd, unfortunately for Floyd, he was able to avoid that, so they never got to beat him. But I don't think Terrence Crawford's going to catch him. Okay? So, Naoya Inoue, okay, he only has 25 fights, but he's only 30 years old. He's in the prime of his career. Okay? Does he have 25 more fights? Yeah, I think so. Right? And this is his 4th weight division with only 25 fights. Is he going to catch Mayweather on 5 divisions? Hell yes, he's going to catch him. He only needs 1. I see him getting 2 more divisions with a belt in 2 more divisions. Yeah, I can see that. Now let's talk about the people that can stand in his way and defeat him. Like, who's really in Naoya Inoue's way that we see? And let's talk about it. Okay. So if Naoya Inoue right now is scheduled to fight Tapales, right? Okay. And he owns 2 belts, and Tapales owns 2 belts, right? Naoya Inoue owns the WBC and the WBO. Tapales has the WBA and the IBF. Okay. Now, if he beats him in the above weight division, who's there? Okay. Right now, currently, you got Luis Alberto Lopez. He's the IBF world champion. Okay. Do you think that Luis could stop Naoya Inoue? Okay, let's move on. You also have Lee Wood, which is the guy that Mayweather is trying to get this kid to fight. Lee Wood, right? Brandon Figueroa is the interim champion. He's never going to fight him for an interim belt. Okay? He would have to get one of the good belts. And then you got Ray Vargas, right? The Mexican fighter. He just went up to fight Foster and lost that fight, right? On a unanimous decision, I think. We'll talk about Foster later. Okay? So, and then you got Ramirez. Okay. Look, all of these fighters are good fighters in their own right. I'm not putting anyone down. I'm just talking about skill and quality of opponents, right? That I feel that can match Naoya Inoue's skill, power, ring IQ, you know what I'm saying? And, he brings a lot to the table. And these guys are good fighters. They are good fighters. They are. They really are. The guys that I just named are good fighters. But Naoya Inoue, I categorize him as an elite fighter. There's levels to this. And I just think that he's on a different level than the rest of these guys, right? So at 126 right now, I don't see nobody beating him. But if Mayweather can get this kid, Camille Moulton, to beat Lee Woods, right? He would have a piece of one of the belts, right? He would have the WBA. Now Mayweather can play keep away with that belt with that kid. He doesn't have to put him in so early with Naoya Inoue, because just like Naoya Inoue, Camille Moulton is a very polished fighter coming out of his amateur career. A lot of fighters are not as polished as those kind of kids. Like, what's his name there? Keyshawn Davis. Keyshawn Davis, fighters like that, like Shakur Stevenson. He came out of the Olympics, Tank Davis came out of his amateur career. They were levels a step of regular amateur boxer that was starting his professional debut. Those kind of fighters they were just a step ahead. When Naoya Inoue made his first pro debut, the fighter he fought against had 16 fights already. He had already fought against a professional fighter that had 16 professional fights on his debut. You see? And he knocks him out. So, look, no one at 126 can stop him But if Mayweather can get that kid to get one of the belts, he can play keep away with the belt. It also can hold him up from unifying in that division. The kid's young enough, and he can fight other fighters where that Naoya Inoue, see, so maybe if they can't beat him there, then he can entice him to a fight with Gervonta Tank Davis at 130. Now, in all reality, Gervonta Tank Davis got the skills and the power to stop this guy. 100%. Because I'm going to tell you right now, although Stephen Kubo Fulton is a good fighter, he's not our top best black American fighter. The what we have to offer for the slickest, skilled black American fighters, yo, Steven, I'm not cool boy. I'm not putting you down in no kind of way. But there's just better fighters than him as black American fighters. So he's gonna start facing our elites. It's just that we need our guys, some of our guys, to be there because we don't have the Devin Haney's, the Terrence Crawfords in his weight division. So it's he hasn't come. Now you ain't fought our best. Our best. Stephen Kubo Fulton, man, he was good. He's on a good level, and I think he's gonna get better later in his career, right? He just wasn't on that level yet. But we do have fighters that could fight this Japanese guy. It's just that they're not in their weight division. And although I thought that the Russell brothers would have, present a challenge, they have all showed flaws in their own right, and they were exposed, man. When Russell went up against Rodriguez, oh man, he picked him apart. In the first fight, it was called off because of a foul, and then they ran it back, and then it was another foul in the fight, in fact, in the second one, but I think they had already went 10, 11 rounds that they went to the scorecard, and they were able to determine a winner that time, because it was clear he was outclassing the Russell. So, as far as there's not really too many fighters there. The only division that I believe that's going to be a little too big for the Japanese fighter would be 130. Now, at 130 pounds, you don't have like no immediate killer there that I can honestly say, yeah, that guy right there. You got Foster. The American, he's a slick fighter, a long, lengthy fighter. He knows how to use his distance, but he does get hit. He does tend to relax at some moments in the round, and he's been caught relaxing a few times. And sometimes he likes to sit there and admire his work, and he'll stay in the pocket. He's working on some of these things, and Foster seems, for me, he has the height, he has good footwork, and he can move around, and he can really try to work Naoya Inoue on the outside. As far as the other champions, you got champions at the 130 like Hector Luis Garcia, that he fought Gervonta Tank Davis. He's a good puncher. He's a smart fighter. I just think Naoya Inoue, as a ring IQ and skill, is above levels above that man. And then Emmanuel Navarrete. Now, listen, for as crazy as this about to sound, if anyone had a shot, it would be that wild guy right there. I'm telling you, because he's awkward and he's hard. He doesn't dance the way the traditional dance is supposed to go inside of the ring. He's spontaneous. You don't know what he's going to do. And to pick up a rhythm or a timing on a fighter like that is pretty difficult. Because, and Navarrete, what he does really well is that he pops shots. He doesn't always show you his true speed. And you come in like trying to hop like Naoya, and he's going to give him something. He hits hard, okay? And he's been fighting men this big in that division. It's as crazy as it sounds. The guy with the fewest boxing skills, for me, has one of the best shots against such a technical fighter as a Naoya Inoue. He's so technical and so I've seen it before where the wild man it's just that he's not used to that. He thinks you're gonna dance the same way. You Snapchat, bang, 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 block, boom. This guy is everywhere. He's coming at you like this, and he can get one in, and it only takes one. It only takes one. If he lands that and he staggers him and he smells blood, that Mexican's gonna hop all over him, and he knows in that moment you don't give a man like that a second chance. You just unload. You let it go. You just let it, you know what I mean? You lay into him. So, look, for as crazy as it sounds, that, yeah, he would, I feel anyway, he has a puncher's chance. And if he's a world champion, what he just proved, all right, against, what is his name? I forget his name there. What he just defended his title, the way he just did it, and he proved to the world that he belongs, he has a puncher's chance, But there's really, right there at 130, look, Gervonta Davis was a champion at 130, and he is equally the height of the Japanese guy. They're like right there. So, as far as in height in a man successfully getting a belt at 130, that size, it's doable. He has the capability of doing it. So this is where Naoya Inoue's landscape lies. Where do you see him going? Okay? Who do you see stopping him? Okay? And I once said this in one of my videos. I told you guys, there's a kid out there right now watching Naoya Inoue, right? And preparing. And one day they're going to meet. And I said that in one of my videos. And look, this kid, Camille Moten, is coming out of basically nowhere, out of left field. And he looks pretty good. With a little bit of time and a few years boxing experience under his belt and under the guidance and the tutelage of a fighter such as decorated as a Mayweather, okay? The things that he can teach that kid, right? Money can't buy, okay? So I know that right now there are teams out there and boxing coaches right now studying this Japanese guy. And I also know that, he's going to meet, one day he's going to come across the best we have to offer. As of right now, I don't see it happening. I don't see anyone, in the next two divisions that's going to do something. Now at 130, that's when things I think are going to start to get really tricky for him. But who knows? That's why we love boxing. I didn't think that Mike Tyson was going to lose to Buster Douglas, but shit happens. You know what I mean? So, as far as the Charlo twin and Canelo Alvarez, that fight, it looks to be on schedule. They both look great in camp. The Charlo twin, he looks strong. My concern is that can he carry this weight into the later rounds? And is he going to fatigue? As we can see when Canelo Alvarez moved up in weight against Bivol, that was the exact problem. He wasn't used to carrying all that weight around, and it was hard for him to catch his breath and his explosions. To get his muscles and his explosions to come out was, he felt sluggish and he had an off night, and that fucks with your mind in the ring when you know you're a better fighter and you know you can perform better than this, but you realize in that moment, shit, I might have bit more than I can chew. So Jermell Charlo, yes, this will be his first fight at 168. I don't know what a Jermell Charlo looks like at a 168. I just don't know. I've never seen him. But Canelo Alvarez has 4 belts there. He's comfortable right there. And I'm concerned for the Charlo twin. I think that this is a real risky fight. Why would he take this fight? You don't pass up a Canelo Alvarez fight, number one. You don't pass that up, okay? And daring to be great and what's on the table, you take a shot. You take a shot at it. You know, whatever happens in this fight, you know, hats off to the Charlo twin for daring to be great. You know, for taking this fight. You know, his brother didn't take the fight, but he stepped up and he said, you know what, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of you fighting these lackluster opponents. You know, fight one of us. Let's see what you do again, you know. And here we go. We're getting the fight. Now, as far as like Devin Haney and Regis Poirier and Shakur Stevenson and Tank Davis, it looks like Tank Davis is being ordered to fight Eastside Pitbull Cruz again in a rematch. I don't know why we're getting that fight again, but we're getting it again. Somewhere in Eastside Pitbull Cruz's mind, he thinks that if by defeating Gervonta Davis, that he becomes a champion. Well, unfortunately, Gervonta Tank Davis doesn't have a belt in 135. He's not a champion. I mean, he has a belt. He has an interim belt. But Devin Haney is the true champion at 135. He has all 4 belts. And if he goes up against Regis Poirier and he wins the 140-pound title, I believe he's going to vacate. Because in the near future, there's a mega fight between him and Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez is WBO 140-pound current champion by beating Josh Taylor. So, them two, they've been at each other for a very long time, and they came up with each other in the amateurs. So that's their storyline and everything build up to that fight. And it will also be a unification fight. So, yeah, you know, that's going to be a bit, and I see him vacating the belts at 135 because he becomes the WBC champion. There's no reason to go back down. Why kill yourself to try to make the weight? You know, so he's already successfully defended him. There's really not too much more he can do at 135. So it makes dollars and cents to try to conquer another division. So, and then the belts will scatter, and there's going to be a lot of top fighters that are going to, that are the front runners for them belts. Tank Davis being one, Shakur being another one, and Lomachenko definitely being another one. Those are all the top front runners at 135 pounds that I believe are going to get the first cracks at those belts if David Haney chooses to vacate those titles. Yeah, so look, that's what, you know, I have for you today in the world of boxing. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please, if you haven't, like, subscribe to the channel. And like always, I'm on to the next video. Peace.